Hey, y'all, part four on this particular topic on leadership. So, new research in leadership, which directions are they going? What kinds of things are under consideration? Well, clearly, there's been a lot of research about the relationship between gender and leadership. And so we find 35%, or no, here, in 2017, women made up about 47%. So almost half of the workforce is female. So there goes our, traditional role model there. Role model? Gender model, whatever. Gender role thoughts. About half of high-paying management professional occupations were held by women. So I mean, they're getting in there, right? They're getting to that point. Of course, a lot different in different disciplines or different areas. In financial managers, 35% were. In medical or health, it was 48%. And clearly, men and women have quite different leadership styles. Women are much more participative and interpersonally oriented. Men are much more directive, right? And so what we find is that men and women tend to emerge as leaders in areas that are more consistent with gender stereotypes. Okay, so as we said, the financial managers aren't exactly as much women, but the health areas are. They fit. Oh, crazy cat. Okay, they fit more the gender roles kind of thing. But even though the women are making up 50% of what did they call it here, the high paying management professionals, you're still getting this glass ceiling because look, 43% in whatever these numbers are, where now, are in these positions, but only 3 to 5% are at the higher levels. Okay, like the CEO or something like that. VPs and stuff. University faculty, 40 women make up 40% of university faculty, but when you get to like the dean's office or any administrative positions, they only make up 19%. Okay? Law associates, right? Same idea. In fact, I just looked this up. This is fresh data as of January 2008, 19. Women make up 25% of the Senate, 24% of the House of Representatives, and 0% of the presidency. I like that last one. It was funny. I added that one. All right. So let's change them numbers, right? But the good news is this is a record number. But when I was looking this up, I actually was kind of shocked. It said throughout the entire history of the United States, there have been 56 women in the U.S. Senate. Holy crap. All right. It's impressive that there are 25 in there now if there's only been 56 total across the entire history of our country. Okay, so, and look at that. Only 14% of CEOs were women. 5% of executive positions are held by women. I don't know what that means exactly. But what we find is this is I've read some stuff on this, and don't be a hater on me. I'm just going to tell you what I heard. Okay, is that what happens is because males and females do in fact exhibit different behaviors, and they approach things. So, say for example, a woman that would like to, goes to a new company, and what happens is she sees a coworker struggling, so she'll help the coworker out. Okay. Meanwhile, in fact, we did talk about this earlier. I remember now. Now that is a valuable thing for the company, isn't it? Very valuable for the company, but it's just not in the reward structure, and so women tend not to get promoted to upper level management because they're not exhibiting those behaviors necessary. Well, rephrase that: the behaviors which are rewarded in that structure. Okay. All right. So anyway, we did talk that earlier. I remember now. Gender. Whoa. Oh yeah, look at that. Gender and leadership. Males and females are perceived as effective leaders to the degree that they're in a context which is representative of male and female stereotypes. Okay. Um, though there is, of course, a recognition that leadership is more masculine based, because we saw some of the leadership characteristics at some point, like in trait theory, and it was like aggressiveness and whatnot. And so, yeah, unfortunately, this becomes a problem you know, poor Hillary Clinton found the only way to rise to the top is to perform masculine-like behaviors, which unfortunately don't fit the female gender model, and therefore, when these traits necessary for leadership success emerge in a female, it's often seen as a bitch or something, because it completely contradicts what the female role is. And it is, I'm sure you've all seen this, but she was definitely a victim of that. There was nothing she could do with that. Some people believe that females have an advantage at leadership because, like, they have these better interpersonal. Yeah, women have better interpersonal skills. I'll make that statement. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sure it's a stereotype, but I think it's true. So, women tend to be more sensitive and nurturing and stuff. And so these are very valuable skills for leaders, especially more transformational leaders, right? But again, you know, you're right. Having these types of interpersonal sensitivity is helpful for transformational leadership, but at the same time, it's that aggressiveness that really seems to be important. So, culture and leadership. So, different cultures have different ideas of what equals a good leader. Okay, so we need to go back to that. Well, here, I'm biting my tongue there. Okay, so different cultures have a different perception of what equals a good leader. So this Globe project, right? Well, I swear I had that. Here, Globe. I knew I had it somewhere. I got something screwed up there. All right, 61 countries, 200 researchers. They looked at different leadership styles that were important in individualistic versus collectivistic countries, and it was pretty clear what they were finding differences here. Right here, I like this top one instead. That effective leader behavior was really a product. Remember the implicit leadership theory, right? And that is the workers or the subordinates have a prototype, a schema of what equals a good leader. And different cultures have different schemas of what equals a good leader. And so by this sense, whatever the subordinates think would be a good leader, which would be influenced by their cultural background, will become what is a good leader. Okay? We also find in this culture sense leaders that have more global experiences are better. They can think strategically. They can think from multiple perspectives. I think it's incredibly important to get this global experiences. And I have quite a bit of it. And I'll tell you what happens is when you get outside of the United States a while, what you do is you come to realize which of the things that I make as an assumptions in my everyday life aren't particularly true once I leave the United States. You know, it's just a different way of thinking. Leaders whose international experiences took place in cultures that were much different. So if you're having global experiences in England, ain't gonna do much for you. But if you have global experiences I mean, my biggest experiences are in China. So if you have global experiences in radically different parts of the world, it's even more effective. Okay. Power distance. Oh yeah, this is a big one. Power distance is basically different cultures will have a different power distance. That is the extent to which an individual or culture sees power as hierarchical. And so what we find is that the power structure in America would look radically different than the power structure in Asia because we have different expectations about the hierarchical nature of leadership. They gave a survey of 59 leadership traits to graduate students from America and international students, and each culture had their own little prototype, their own representation. But what happened was that there was no single trait that came out across all 8. Okay, nothing really emerged consistently across the different cultures they looked at. they did see some types of patterns, like more Western cultures, the prototype of a good leader was much more like determined or something like that. But when you looked at the prototype of a good leader in Eastern context, intelligence was much more likely. And this could easily be a result of, the emphasis on education in Asian cultures. I mean, it's right there. All right. Leadership and emotions has actually come to the front a little bit. And there's this recognition that you not only have to have good cognitive ability to be a good leader, but you have to have good emotional ability. And so emotional intelligence is a variable that can determine how effective a leader is. Because emotionally intelligent leaders can create the bonds necessary for transformational leadership. So they are more high emotional intelligence leaders are more effective. They exhibit more transformational behaviors. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's what we have on leadership today. All right, so we're coming around the end of this thing. So we'll see you again on the next topic in a little bit.